Good morning. Welcome to Nancy's Corner for March. And since March is Women's History Month, the first two books that I'm going to talk about are about women in history. The first one is Am Mozart 2. This is The Lost Genius of Maria Anna Mozart. Words by Audrey Ades. Pictures by Adelina Larius. Now, everybody knows Mozart, the composer. Very few people have heard about his sister. She wrote music and performed music just like he did. And when they were children, the father allowed them to perform together. When she got to be a teenager, he goes, "Girls don't write music, so you have to stop." So she was very disappointed, but her brother went on and, as everyone knows, became very famous. She married, had a normal life for a woman of her time period. But when her husband died, she decided she was going to go back to writing music. And she did write music and she did perform a little bit. But women in this time period were really held down. They couldn't do what the women do today. And this is just another example of a genius that people didn't know about. So this is Mozart's sister, Maria Anna. This next one, I was really surprised at this. This is The Girl with a Mind for Math, the story of Ray Montague, written by Julia Finley Mosca, illustrated by Daniel Riley. Ray Montague was born in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1935, and she was very bright. And when she was probably 7 or 8, her grandfather took her to see a ship, and she absolutely fell in love with boats. And she said, how do people make these? And somebody patted her on the head and said, "Oh, that you don't have to worry about that. Engineers do that." So she decided she was going to be an engineer. And she studied and learned all she could. And when she went to college, they told her, "We don't teach engineering to black people." So not only was she a woman, she was black, and they would not put her into the engineering classes. So she said, "Okay, I'll go into business." So she graduated with honors, and she studied and went to night classes. She learned computers. She studied all the math she could, and she finally got a job with the Navy in Washington, D.C. And the president decided, or not decided, but the president wanted a ship built, and he contacted her department, and they said, "We can't do this as fast as he wants it." And she goes, "Yes, you can. I know how to do it." So she showed them how to design a ship on the computer. She did it in 18 hours, drew all the blueprints, and the ship worked. Now, because she was a black woman, she wasn't allowed to go to the launching of the ship. She had to watch from a distance. But eventually, she was given the honors that she deserved, and she was the first person, man or woman, to design an entire ship by computer. So before I saw this book, I had never heard of Ray Montague, and I'm so glad I did, because she is a very important person in women's history and black history. The next one, I just love this book. Has no significance, but it's adorable. Patrick Picklebottom and the Penny Book. Story by Mr. J. Artwork by Gary Wilkinson. Patrick had a penny to spend, and he knew exactly what he wanted. So he went into the toy store and passed up all the toys and saw a book that he wanted. It was a story collection. And the store owner said, "Would you like that?" And he goes, "Yeah, I really would, but all I have is a penny." And the store owner says, "Well, what do you know about that? That's what the book cost." So he sells him the book for a penny, and Patrick is thrilled. Well, on the way home, he sees different of his friends. One of them's playing on a cell phone. One of them just bought a $300 video game. Another one's flying a drone, and they all want him to play because they're doing all these amazing things. And he goes, "No, I'm going to go home. I can do all that." So he goes home and he reads his book. And he has all the adventures that his friends are having on their tablets and phones, and even more. So this shows you how one little boy who loves reading can show people that they can have adventures without electronics. So I really love Patrick. This one is Wonky Donkey's Big Surprise. It's words by Craig Smith, illustrations by Kat Cowley. Wonky Donkey books are so cute, so wonderful. They're kind of tongue twisters. And this is the Wonky Donkey, and his daughter is Dinky Donkey. And he says that he has this wonderful surprise for her. And she's trying to guess what it is. And she's asking him all these questions. And in true Wonky Donkey style, it says she knew of only one thing that was wonderful, wrinkly, wiggly, witty, weird, whiskery, washable, warm, whiffy, and wise. And when she opens the door, it's Mama. Mama was away on a business trip, I guess, and she came home. And that was the surprise for Dinky Donkey. Everything in this series is well worth reading because they're a lot of fun. Okay, now we're going to go to books that are a little bit older for children. This is called Stick Dog. It's by Tom Watson. It says a really good story with kind of bad drawings. And Tom Watson loved to draw as a child, but all he could draw are stick figures. And his teacher wasn't real thrilled with that. And she was encouraging him to do more, but this is all he was able to do. So he drew a bunch of stick dogs who go on an adventure. There's also a book called Stick Cat, which we have by the same author, still drawn with stick figures. Well, these 5 dogs are in the park and they're hungry, and there's a family barbecuing hamburgers. And the book is them trying to get these hamburgers because they want to eat. And they get distracted by squirrels and other things, and they do finally get the hamburgers and make friends with the humans. But anyway, the point of this book is, even if you're not a great artist, you can still draw pictures, you can still illustrate a book, and even get it published. So take whatever talent you have and use it. The next one is Soraya and the Mermaid, which is written by Salima Alakhan. And Soraya is 10 years old. She's in the 4th grade. She doesn't really fit in. She's very, very shy. And she loves a comic book about a space woman. So her whole life is pretty much planned around this comic book. And her parents aren't real happy, and neither is her teacher. So anyway, they go on a field trip to an aquarium. And everybody's looking around. They're petting the creatures in the tide pool. And Soraya kind of wanders off. And she's looking in one of the other tanks, and she sees a face. And it turns out it's a mermaid. And the mermaid got caught in a fishing net, and that's how she got into the aquarium. And she wants to go home so bad. And she asks Soraya to help her get out of the aquarium, take her back to the bay so she can go back to her family. And she also she's not really your typical mermaid, so she's kind of an outcast too, because she wants to build safe houses for her mermaid family and friends, because there are rumblings under the water like small earthquakes, and their houses just fall apart. So she has thought of a way to build stronger houses, and that's why she wants to get back. So this is about a strong woman mermaid. So with the help of the other fish, there's dancing beluga whales, there's smiling stingrays. The illustrations are adorable. She does get the mermaid out of the aquarium and back to the bay so she can go home. Very cute book. Okay, this is a teen book. I've really gotten caught up in this series. It's Enola Holmes, The Case of the Missing Marquess. It's by Nancy Springer. And Enola Holmes is the younger sister of Mycroft and Sherlock Holmes. And she is so young, she's quite a bit younger than they are. And in this time period, for a woman to have a child at her mother's age was disgraceful. So the father disappeared, the 2 brothers are grown, and the mother is a little flaky. She's an artist, and she doesn't really spend as much time with Enola as she should. And according to Mycroft, is not raising her to be a proper lady. Well, on her 14th birthday, her mother disappears. And Enola calls the two brothers, and they don't really want to help find her because they know their mother's a flake. So Mycroft wants to send her to boarding school so she can become a proper lady. So she runs away, and she's determined she is going to go to London and find her mother all on her own without the help of her brothers, because she's kind of an embarrassment to them. Not so much to Sherlock, because he can see himself in her and see her that she's very intelligent. She has the same brain as he does. She even kind of looks like he does, and Mycroft just won't hear any of it. So when she runs away, she runs into this family who has lost their son. They think he was kidnapped, and he is the missing Marquess that's in the title of the book. So she realizes that he's older than she is, and he's still wearing short pants and curly hair. They haven't really let him grow up, and that's why he ran away. So she finds him and doesn't want to take too much credit, because then they'll know that she's on the run looking for her mother. And it is a really good book. There's, I believe, 6 in this series. We have the first 3. And it's how she finds her mother, and whether Sherlock and Mycroft are going to help her, and is she going to find her mother. So this is a really fun book. Oh, her mother leaves her a book of ciphers. So you have to work out puzzles to also in this book to find out what's happening and what's going to come next, and to help her track down her mother. Very nice book. I enjoyed that one. Now we have our adult books. This is Jane Austen's Lost Letters by Jane K. Cleland. And Josie Prescott is the main character in this book. She owns an antique appraisal shop, and she has her own TV show. Well, while she's filming the TV show with these 2 experts, they're discussing one of Beatrix Potter's books. This lady interrupts her filming and gives her a package from her father, who died on September 11th. So this is like 20 years ago, 20 years later. And she says, my name is Victoria. I was a really good friend of your father, and he wanted me to give you this. So when she opens it up, it is 2 letters written by Jane Austen that nobody knew existed. So she has to figure out, first of all, are they authentic, which she's pretty sure they are, but who is this woman? How did she know her father? And why did she wait 20 years to give her the box from him? Because she knew her father was supposed to have something for her, because they were going to go to lunch Wednesday. And of course, September 11th attack happened on Tuesday. So she never did see what her father wanted to give her, which she realizes now is this box. So this book has a lot of questions. I'm not going to tell you the answers, but it is a lot of fun to read, to find out who this mystery woman is. Okay, the next one is Colleen Coble, A Stranger's Game. These 2 books both have characters named Victoria. Anyway, Tori, for short, Bergstrom, her father owns a hotel empire, and she helps him run it. So she goes to Georgia, to one of their hotels where she grew up. Her mother fell off the balcony like 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And they never really knew what happened to her. Did she jump? Was she pushed? Was it an accident? Who knows? Well, Tori's best friend, Lisbeth, wants to try to look into it for her. So she asks Tori to get her a job at the hotel, which she does. Well, Elizabeth drowns. And Tori knows that was not what happened, because her friend was absolutely terrified of water, wouldn't even stick her toe in the ocean, much less go swimming. So she goes undercover to try to figure out what happened to her friend. Her aunt is running the hotel, and she is a nasty person, so they don't get along. And she is very upset when she finds out that this girl is undercover looking into Lisbeth's death. She also meets a very handsome man with an 8-year-old daughter. He's a widower, so there's your love interest. And he trains sea lions for underwater rescue and arrest, and to detect bombs and all this kind of stuff, which you find out there are some people planning an attack on the hotel because there are all the high-ranking members of the federal banking system that are there for a convention. Do they save the day? Or do they not save the day? Do we find out what happens to Lisbeth and to Tori's mother? I tell you, yes, we do. But it's a really good book, very suspenseful and fun to read. This one is The Horsewoman by James Patterson and Mike Lupica. It's a grandmother, a mother, and the daughter, and the grandmother owns a horse farm. And the mother is a championship horse jumper, and she wants to go to the Olympics. The Olympics are coming up, and she has to qualify. Well, the daughter is also a horse jumper, but she doesn't take it as seriously. And even though she loves her horse and she loves the sport, they don't really think she's worth much as a horsewoman. Well, the mother is out riding, and the horse gets scared, and she falls off, and she hurts her back, and she hurts her knees, and they tell her, forget the Olympics, forget the competition, you're not going to be able to go. So they start training the daughter seriously so she can go to the Olympics and represent the farm. Well, the mother is not happy about this, and she's pushing herself, and she's riding before she's supposed to. She's training at another friend's farm, and she tells her daughter one night at dinner, they're all having this nice happy dinner talking about the competitions, and she tells her, I want my horse back. This is not your dream, this is my dream, it's my horse, it's my competition. Doctor says I'm not quite ready, but I'm doing it anyway, give me my horse back. Well, as you can imagine, the daughter is not very happy. So she decides to compete on her own horse. And they both end up qualifying for the Olympics. And they are competing against each other. So I'm not going to tell you who wins or what they win. But there's no murders, James Patterson, but there's no murders, which he does write sometimes. Very, very good. It's a standalone book, and I had trouble putting it down. I really enjoyed this. The last book is fun. It is The Great Book of Grilled Cheese. Now, to me, grilled cheese, Swiss cheese, 2 slices of white bread, you put it in a pot and melt it. This is not my grilled cheese. This is fancy grilled cheese. You can put absolutely anything in these sandwiches. Not only do they give you the grilled cheese recipes, they give you salads and soups that go along with the grilled cheese. If they make it out of, say, barbecue pork or meatloaf, they give you the recipe for that too. So the actual grilled cheese is kind of like a leftover. But there are some wonderful recipes in here. It gives you so many ideas of what to do with what was just, to me, an ordinary sandwich that I would have for lunch every once in a while. You can make a grilled cheese sandwich into a whole meal. I was very pleasantly surprised with this book. So, those are our books for the month of March. I hope you found something that you liked and that you'll come into the library and check these out. They are all available. And I hope to see you really soon. Bye.